Hey guys, this is Jacob here, Higher Order Training. This is going to be the first of many of just kind of, behind the scenes at my desk talks with the camera on like lengthier subjects that I think kind of need more of an in-depth breakdown. And this content will be more like raw, longer form content. I might cut pieces here and there just if I have long, breaks and talking points, but I know a lot of people appreciate kind of the long, unfiltered content, so that's kind of the goal here. So for our first topic, we are going to talk about caffeine consumption. So pretty much everyone in the world, or at least 90% of the world, consumes caffeine in some way, whether it's through coffee, pre-workout, supplementation, etc. What I really want to talk about is the abuse of caffeine and why you should probably not abuse caffeine and why you should probably drink a little less caffeine in terms of like milligrams dosage. So for example, an average pre-workout probably has around 200 milligrams of caffeine, anywhere from 200 to 400. 400 being on the higher end, 200 being on the the mid stim level, and then anything below that is kind of like a low stim. But the issue with that is with those higher stim pre-workouts, 400 milligrams, they even have 450s. I've seen 500s, which is crazy. The recommended limit for milligram caffeine consumption is 400. Upper limit. We aren't trying to hit the upper limit. They set an upper limit as a recommendation to not go over, because once you start consuming more than 400 milligrams of caffeine, you start to develop severe dependency traits towards caffeine. And this varies person to person, of course. There's always going to be individual person nuance, but generally speaking. So when we're over 400 milligrams, you're basically an addict, because when you're drinking that much caffeine, it's not even a performance enhancer anymore. You're using it as a crutch. You depend on it to be at a functional level. We don't want to use caffeine to be at a functional level. You should be at a functional level without any stimulant consumption. And trust me, this is coming from the biggest stim junkie you probably have ever met in your life. I was quite literally a stim junkie abuser for years and years on end, and I paid a heavy price for it. I won't get too much into that. That's more of just like injury and exercise related, but just know that this is coming from a previous stim junkie. So if you're consuming 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine per day, it'd be in your best interest to cut down. And when I say cut down, I'll give you an example of how I cut down personally. So I used to consume, back when I was in my mid or early 20s, probably 20, 21, I used to go to the gym, supplement market, whatever, get the highest stim pre-workout. Me and my buddies, we'd be at 24 Hour Fitness. We'd be loaded on this highest stim pre-workouts you could imagine. And this is including stuff other than caffeine, but the caffeine amount is usually very high. That's one of the primary stimulants. So 400 milligrams, 300 milligrams caffeine, plus all the other stuff. You go to the gym, have an amazing workout, just completely destroy yourself because your energy is through the fucking roof. But I'll get into why that's kind of counterproductive in a second. So take me as a stim junkie like that, and then just recently I was been cutting down for years, but just recently I started really cutting down because I've been having stomach issues. So I was drinking probably a few months ago, 6 months ago, I was probably doing like a half scoop of pre, and then I'd have an energy drink or any time around the day. So energy drink plus half scoop of pre, I'd be around 300, 350 milligrams of caffeine. And I started having a lot of stomach issues. So I was like, fuck it. It's really time to cut back on the caffeine, because caffeine is a irritant if you're having any kind of acid reflux, which I am. So now I have 2 of these small cups of coffee in the mornings, and not even every day. If I have a busy morning, I might not even have one, like if I'm out and about. But these are about like 6 to 8 ounces of coffee, which is really going to be 70 to 90 milligrams of caffeine per cup. So now I'm down to probably 160, 170 milligrams of caffeine per day. And let me tell you that I feel so much better. Like, my energy levels have like come up since consuming less caffeine. And I know that's kind of a crazy thing, but until you actually like implement it, you'll never know. And another thing, this leads us to our next topic. We talk about the half-life of caffeine. So half-life simply means that after you consume caffeine, it stays in your system for X amount of time. So caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 10 hours. So what that means for you is that if you are drinking caffeine late in the evening, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m., that caffeine that you consume at that time stays in your system for possibly the next 6 to 10 hours. And again, of course, there's individual differences. Might stay in someone's system for 6, might stay in someone's system for 10, might stay in someone's system for 12. You never know. There might be an outlier. You've met people that are hypersensitive to caffeine. The point of this is that you don't want caffeine to interrupt your sleep, because that directly affects your ability to recover from your training session. That's what I was coming around to when I told you guys that I used to train like a freak when I was like 20, 21, loaded up on stims. I was training so hard and doing so much volume that I couldn't recover at all, like ever. I never could recover. And that's probably what led to me being chronically injured for like, the duration of my young 20s. All from 20 all the way to probably 23. I had a bulging disc in my low back. I had bicep tendonitis in my right shoulder. I tore my labrum in my left. And I would just load up on my stims and I would just keep going to the gym and doing what I can. But I was never focused on my recovery. So that's probably another key aspect of this video that I wanted to get into is you don't need that much caffeine. Maturing in the gym is realizing that you do not need that much stims to perform at a high level. And if you do need that many stims to perform at a high level, there's other aspects in your life that you need to look at. Stress, sleep, the stress of your work, the stress of the house that you live in, etc., is directly affecting your recovery. And you are using caffeine and stimulants as a crutch because you don't want to address those issues. So to wrap it up per se, try to limit your caffeine consumption. Try to limit your caffeine consumption to earlier in the day, because you don't want it to affect your recovery. I can sit here and rant forever, but those are like the 2 key points: is stop using caffeine as a crutch and focus more on your recovery, because if you are having those crazy sessions, you can't recover from them, you're doing nothing. You're making no progress. It's counterproductive. And I truly mean that. A lot of people, are like, yeah, I just go hard in the gym all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week. And it's like, you just have not hit that wall of experience yet to humble you. Because you will. Trust me, you will. If you are using stimulants, if you are abusing stims, you will definitely hit that wall. I see it all the time. I hit that wall myself. I see my friends still hit that wall. It's it's not a good wall to hit. You need to hit it once, learn from it, start pulling back on your stims, start addressing other aspects of your life, and start having a more recovery focused approach to the gym. The last takeaway is you can only grow your muscles and make progress in the gym is bottlenecked by your recovery capabilities. If your recovery capabilities are horrible, you are not making progress in the gym. And I cannot stress that enough. And I learned that the hard way. So trust me on that. I've been lifting for 10 plus years. I don't look like it. And I can tell you why. Okay? So trust me on that. Take your recovery serious. Cut back on your caffeine consumption, your stimulant consumption, and drop any questions in the chat if you want to talk. I am open to discussing any kind of questions that people have. Yeah. See you guys.